Are we going live immediately? Are we live?
We count down.
Are we not counting that? No, we are live. We are live. Welcome to the Sup, episode 9, baby. We got dropped in there. We got dropped in the trenches. I think we were expecting the normal countdown. It didn't happen. James, welcome to the trenches, baby. How we doing?
Sup, people? Thank you to Hoyt for dropping us straight into the deep end right there. And that actually was directed at Hoyt this time, not at you, Chase. But yeah, sup, people? Welcome to Brayden Abick. Brayden Abick is the CEO and co-founder of Blockpour, now OpenBlocks.AI. Dude, we interviewed you back in September. At Korea Blockchain Week, man. But obviously, the news now that you guys have been acquired by Supra, pretty exciting. Officially coming internal, which is pretty awesome. So, just a quick intro about what Blockpour primarily was. Now, the slight pivot with an introduction to AI agents to your offering, hence OpenBlocks.AI. Just give us a quick rundown of the new direction as well, man.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, happy to be here. Thanks, guys, for having me. Yeah. So my name's Brayden. I am the founder of Blockpour. And to give some background, Blockpour was a multi-chain data analytics and irrigation platform. So we supported several different networks, and our main goal at Blockpour was to abstract away a lot of the complexities for users who are navigating cross-chain applications and cross-chain ecosystems. Obviously, with the acquisition by Supra for Blockpour, we're now rebranding to OpenBlocks. And I guess on the rebrand, the exciting parts are Blockpour previously was a data provider. With OpenBlocks, we're actually getting into building our own tools and our own applications with the data. Previously, we would sell this data through APIs. So a lot of companies, a lot of projects in crypto would use our data to build their own dashboards and their own tools for their users. And now with OpenBlocks and Supra's Intralayer, Supra's automation, we're getting into actually building our own tools internally and then also for the public as well. So super excited for this. I think there's a lot of alignment between what Blockpour was and where Supra is heading, especially on the multi-chain side. And I think OpenBlocks is going to help empower a lot of these use cases for the Supra ecosystem and also help users navigate the cross-chain ecosystems as well.
Yeah, totally, man. Like there is so much synergy, and I remember when I chatted with you in Korea, like you could tell that you and Josh obviously had a great connection. You guys worked really well together, and as you were explaining Blockport to me in Korea, I knew that we were going to be leveraging your services. So it just makes sense, this kind of acquisition, man. So excited to hear about what's coming, what you guys are up to. But just before we get into all that, obviously a couple of things to get through before we get a demo from Brayden. Chase, let's just go through what's up, man.
Yeah. I guess the what's up's been I've been getting tagged for a bunch of merch. I'm actually running a giveaway on my Twitter right
I
now.
I saw that.
After last week, we got back from ETH Denver. It was a lot of playing catch up, a lot of connecting the T's and dotting the I's. I almost said that backwards, but so I was like, let's start the Monday with the fun giveaway. So I just started a giveaway. I usually do a bunch of merch, hoodies, socks, things that we had left over. I was probably going to throw in one of these, which is like the Sandwear headphones, the custom ones that we did with them. So go enter it. It's a meme competition. Make me laugh. If you win, I'll send you something, as well as two other people as runner-ups. Another thing I do want to mention, just in quick passing, is the creative bounty that we have. We're just waiting for the final green light to make the announcement. So as soon as I have the final green light, it will be announced. I know I've been getting asked about it every couple of days from a couple certain people. I promise you, it's coming. I'm just waiting for the final green light, and it'll be on your way. And I think that's it for my side. What about you, James?
Yeah. I mean, you and I kind of working together on trying to get that green light. So everyone's DMing us and they're tagging us. We are on it. We are working on it, guys. Okay, so that creative bounty is coming. We are working on it. Quick reminder about our DeFi Revolution page, so you can get a vision of what we're building with Supra's architecture. Supra.com/DeFi-revolution. That's where you can get all the info about Supra's DeFi Revolution.
Yeah, awesome. And while we're talking about, I guess, Supra, and as we have Brayden on here, I think it's nice to highlight just like a couple of projects that we have coming to mainnet and testnet as well. First, I'm a gamer. I've been playing Counter-Strike for legitimately like half my life. I still play CS2. I was global at one point in my life in college. I did not go to class very much,
Damn.
obviously.
Damn.
But anyways, a SkinFi is now live on mainnet on Supra, which is basically CS2 skins meets DeFi. You can trade skins for USDC with 0 fees, linear skins for USDC, P2P, and secure. Skin games are coming soon. Join the waitlist on skinfi.xyz. Be sure to follow them. And if I have a bunch of dope skins, like I have a couple knives, I have a Blue Gem AK that I opened out of a chest myself. I've been offered like $5,000 for it. So maybe I'll do that a giveaway. Maybe we'll have some Supra gamers that I can just toss that in one of our giveaways here soon. But yeah, be sure to check them out. They're dope.
Bro, you are turning into such a KOL by the week, bro. Blockchain for babies, birthed out of last week's SUP. Then you've got this giveaway going down. Now you're giving away CS skins, bro.
I'm telling you.
Chase the KOL, brother.
We're out here. And by the way, another episode for Blockchain for Babies is coming out today. I get asked about it constantly. Brayden, if you don't know what Blockchain for Babies is, it's like this little skit series I just randomly started on my Twitter. And I have 2 children. I have one 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. Their names are Archer and Stella. And what I do is I just ask them Web3 blockchain tech questions. So it's like last week, it's like, do you know what cryptocurrency is? My daughter obviously is 3 years old. She's like, no. And so basically it's me talking to my kids about crypto and having fun with it. Yeah, it's basically a way to, I'm trying to find ways to make them understand crypto, because if I can make a 3 and a 5-year-old understand crypto, then I think I'm onto something here.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, good luck in getting them to explain what crypto is at the end of the season, bro. That's what I want to see. That's what's going to come at the end of the season. Okay, now explain to me blockchain.
Yes, exactly.
So speaking of blockchain, what's going down, what's happening, new chains, new apps, new dApps on chain. How about what's coming to Supra's mainnet? Obviously, we've just spoken about SkinFi. Atmos protocol, you guys would have seen what's been happening. They've been on testnet. They are coming to mainnet very, very soon. They're just a couple of final audits here and there, a little bit of polishing up, and they will be live on mainnet. Obviously, the DeFi and lending protocol, they offer perps, all coming to mainnet very, very soon. Pixudi, that's the same team that built the Meta Mystics game. Check them out, the Pixudi. They're on X. We're actually going to have the CEO of Pixudi. He's scheduled for next week's SUP. Hopefully he sticks to that schedule, but we'll find out and see. Pixudi are coming very, very soon as well. I think they're going to be hitting testnet like within the next week. And then after a couple of runs on testnet, they'll be on mainnet. So look out for them. And then Growfitter, the HealthFi protocol, the guys that are behind getting active and then earning real world assets. You can check them out. Growfitter, just search for them on X, and they are going to be on, I think they're on testnet already actually, and will be on mainnet hopefully by April. So that's the guys that actually won Shark Tank India, and I think they're also going to be on Killer Whales TV or one of the other shows. So look out for Growfitter. Chase,
speaking of, I actually want to touch base on. I want to touch base on Growfitter. When we were at MoveCon, the Growfitter team was there. The CEO and a couple of his team members were there, and they were the final ones to kind of show a demo as we were at the coming to the finale of MoveCon this year, a couple weeks ago. And he challenged anybody in the crowd to a push-up contest. He was like, give me 2 or 3 people to do a push-up contest. I'm going to give you a swag bag worth a couple thousands of dollars.
I can see where this is going. Chase just did a whole bunch of push-ups. That's probably
You would think so. You would think so. But I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Anyways, he talked Josh into it and getting up there and doing push-ups. And I think Josh did almost 60-something push-ups and ended up winning the competition.
Wow.
There was like 4 other people up there that were doing it too. Yeah. It was so funny how it just happened to play out like that. But anyways, people were saying rigged, but no, Josh got up there and did the thing and actually won the push-up competition. So shout out to Josh. That's my founder.
Our prize for you, Josh, is that you win Growfitter.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome.
All right, what's happening in the news this week, man?
Sweet. Let's talk about the biggest news. I guess the biggest news over the last week would have been the Bybit $1.5 billion hack fallout. So tensions have escalated as Bybit accused OKX of laundering 100 million, which comes out to 40,233 ETH of stolen funds through its Web3 proxy. OKX fired back on X, denying any EU investigations, calling Bybit's claims misinformation. Brayden, Is this the kind of information that Blockpour's expertise lays in? Like, could you analyze those kinds of stolen funds and where they went? Would you be able to find those kind of endpoints?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. So for Blockpour, we have reconciliation tools, mainly on the enterprise side. We don't have it so much on the public facing side,
Right.
but basically for tracking funds, visualizing on-chain activity. And so the hack obviously happened on the Ethereum network with Ethereum. And so you would have been able to follow those funds through Blockpour, through our enterprise reconciliation tools that we have. The biggest problem with the Bybit hack was it was very meticulous and very sophisticated. The hack itself was very sophisticated, what they did. And I think they must have had a plan prior of what they wanted to do to off ramp the money. It was very easy to track moving between EVM chains, but it got incredibly complex when they went through Thor and then started converting it into Bitcoin. And then a lot of it was lost from there. I think they've already off ramped most of it, I believe, by now. But yeah, to answer your question, when it comes especially on the EVM side, we do have tools for reconciliation, for tracking and visualizing, similar to what you would get on Arkham. But when it goes, across these different networks into Bitcoin, it becomes a lot more difficult to follow the flow of funds. So it was a bit of a complicated case, yeah.
And what about mixers? I'm just curious. Mixers have been used by people that want privacy, but also they've been used nefariously as well. How do on-chain trackers mitigate against mixers? I'm just looking for your
Yeah.
expertise here.
Yeah, so when it comes to mixers, like if you look at Tornado Cash, like as an example, if a user is depositing a large sum of money into Tornado Cash, you can often do like pattern recognition to see who is withdrawing similar amounts of funds, especially if it's over short time frames. So with Tornado Cash, you could deposit 10 ETH, 100 ETH, etc. And so if somebody deposited, say, 5,000 ETH, and then 2 weeks later there was around 5,000 withdrawn across a few wallets, you can make associations, but you can't definitively know. There's usually degrees of confidence with patterns between mixers, but it just depends on how patient these people are that are using them and how sophisticated they are with the behavior behind it. But yeah, I mean, mixers, it is very difficult, but there's usually patterns that can be followed with a lot of them.
I'm going to stay on this topic. Sorry, guys, just real quick. This actually really interests me. So
Yeah.
My question is, following on from that, the tech and the good actors like yourselves, who's ahead, the nefarious actors or the good actors at the moment in terms of development, in terms of tech, in terms of expertise?
Yeah, so you mean, I guess, in reference to tracking funds from nefarious actors, or?
Yeah. So when it comes to routing their funds, who has the edge? Is it the good guys or is it the bad guys right now?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say more so on the good guys for sure. I mean, if you look at stable coins, like a lot of the off ramping has to go through a centralized exchange, right? Like if you have stolen crypto, you need to off ramp it at some point, and that's usually where people get caught. If you're trying to off ramp like $50 million on Coinbase or Binance, they're going to ask questions about where the funds came from, right? So it's very difficult, I think, on that side to actually off ramp. And if you look at a lot of stable coins like Tether, they're able to freeze some of these assets as well, right? So you have support from a lot of partners within crypto. And then there's a lot of forensics companies that exist, like Chainalysis, that are also very sophisticated and focus specifically on this. With Blockpour, we do reconciliation mainly for like tax purposes, so people could follow their flow of funds, they could track wallets. But Chainalysis and some of these other forensic companies, their only goal is to track, nefarious actors, basically. So I think they would have a much more sophisticated take on this than I do. But I would say it's definitely a bit more on the good guys than the bad guys. But it just depends again on the sophistication and the strategies that they use, and I guess how much they actually care about getting caught. I think for Bybit, obviously it was confirmed that it was North Korea. I believe that was behind the hack. And I don't know if there was concerns on their side about their own government getting them in trouble. I think the concern really was just how do we off ramp this money, and they don't really care what happens. And so obviously the risk is a bit lower for them versus somebody doing this hack and trying to off ramp from another country, because they have their own governments that are willing to cooperate to help get the funds back.
Right. Man, yeah, that's good to hear, right? Like if you're in crypto and you're a good actor, it's good to hear that the good guys have the slight edge. All right, thanks, man. Appreciate that expertise.
Yeah,
All right,
super
continuing with the news. This one is also very, very specific to OpenBlocks. AI and Web3 integration, some big news happening this week. Obviously, AI-driven DeFi and decentralized infrastructure is heating up. A couple of posts on X have highlighted that this week, specifically projects like DeepLink and their listing. They have AI agents that think for you, and they point to a fusion of AI and Web3 that's really starting to gain traction this year in the Web3 narrative. So DeepLink is a decentralized platform leveraging a global network of GPUs, right? The graphics card processors to deliver ultra low latency cloud gaming, and it's going to be enhanced by AI. So you can think of it as a solution to power intensive digital experiences without the need for expensive local hardware. So by decentralizing GPU resources, it cuts your costs. Now, apparently, the AI is going to optimize rendering. It's going to reduce lag to near zero levels, which has obviously been a challenge with decentralized gaming. And it's going to be able to adapt in real time to users' needs. Now, Web3 then is integrated further into this with the ownership and economic incentives like tokenized assets, player owned ecosystems, and integration with DeFi protocols. So, pretty big news coming out for AI and Web3 this week, specifically with DeepLink. So that was really interesting. And just before we dig into your excitement for AI agents, Brayden, what do you make of this DeepLink news? And I'm curious if you think it's just another pipe dream. Like, is it just another marketing tool? It's another marketing term that someone like DeepLink is using? Or is this actually a legitimate use case?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting when you mention obviously like the marketing tactic side. I know that a lot of people have mentioned, even with some of the crypto agents that we see, they're like LLM wrappers or API wrappers that basically just use AI kind of as a keyword to fit in, but it's really just wrapping around like a chat GPT or something. I think with DeepLink, it's interesting. I think that their roadmap is obviously very ambitious. I think for a lot of AI stuff, especially on the agent side and on the crypto side, we're still a bit early. And I think there's still high risk, especially in the crypto agents that are doing, transaction crafting and things like that. I think it is a little bit early, but I think a lot of these things will become possible. And if they're already starting this stuff, I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I have you used DeepLink at all? Actually, I've been playing around with it a little bit. I didn't know if either of you have actually got on there and tested it at all.
I haven't.
No.
No, I looked at it. I went through it a little bit, but I haven't actually tested much of it yet.
It's very, very like high-end focused, which is not for me. Like I'm not in there trying to like build a program at all or like get some answers on coding expertise. But I could see how it could be very beneficial for somebody that was. I have a friend that built a Telegram game using DeepLink, and it took him like I think just a day. And all he did was basically ask what he wanted from it, and it gave him a prompt, and he just kind of tailored the prompt until it worked, and it's working now. So it's like things like that are super exciting to see how people are going to involve that within crypto. Speaking of crypto and moving on, especially within the American side of things, Trump's crypto summit and strategic reserve disappointment. Oh boy. President Trump hosted a crypto summit at the White House, signaling a pro-crypto shift by ordering a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve. But Bitcoin dropped 6% when it became clear that the reserve would only be using existing government holdings. Zero new purchases. Bitcoin hit a 4-month low amid tariff war tensions, which I don't think anybody was expecting. Brayden, what did you expect of this kind of move from Trump's administration? It's still hugely positive that the U.S. government won't be selling those 2,000 Bitcoin, hopefully. And they hold those from obviously places like the Silk Road situation and whatnot. What do you think about the market crash? And let's stir the pot a little bit. Is the bear market here?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the news of just the strategic reserve announcement itself, I mean, I think that is arguably one of the biggest bullish catalysts for crypto, maybe ever, at least in the last couple of years. I think prior to that, it would have been like El Salvador announcing their own reserve, or Michael Saylor constantly ripping tops in Bitcoin and throwing money at it. But I think the strategic reserve announcement is a very bullish catalyst. I just think it will likely take time to play out. And there was a bit of speculation whether or not, like you had mentioned, they're just going to be holding stolen assets or potentially purchasing Bitcoin themselves. There was talk in the in the article about how they're planning budget neutral approaches towards Bitcoin. So what that means, I'm not entirely sure yet, whether that just means holding existing Bitcoins or perhaps using proceeds from other things to purchase Bitcoin still in a budget neutral way. But to answer your question, I don't think this is the start of the bear market. I could be wrong. I think that there's just a lot of catalysts right now. I mean, even in Singapore, they just announced that they're going to be launching Bitcoin futures in, I think, Q2 or H2 of this year. So there's a lot of movement, I think, on the government side that's been happening quite fast. So I don't think this is the start of a bear market. But again, who knows? Crypto is notorious for very volatile moves, and this could just be one of them, or it could be the start of something more long-lasting.
Yeah, I agree. I think where the market is right now is in a very odd situation, right? I think everybody was expecting it to be going a different way at this point, and it's not. And so I think a lot of people are getting cold feet, and it's like, well, maybe we got our hopes up high too fast, right? Maybe we jumped the gun a little bit, expecting things as soon as Trump got into office. All right, the bull market is here. Obviously, that's not the case. There's still a lot of things that need to be figured out. But yeah, going to be a very interesting next couple years for sure. So we're really within the next 6 to 12 months for me, I think will be the most interesting. But after that, for sure.
I mean, how cool is it that we have a guy whose expertise here is data analytics? And when a guy with that kind of expertise is like, I don't think we're in the bear market, you're like, yes, it's great to hear. Okay, so talking about your expertise, Brayden, that's pretty much it in terms of what's been happening in Web3 this last week. We'll cover it all again next week. Whatever the big news is, we'll cover it for you. I see that DeepSeeker on X has asked, what the hell is DeepLink? Dude, I gave you a quick rundown. That's what that's all about. The news is here for you, brother. We dropped the alpha, my friend. So there you go. Brayden, let's just get into what you guys have been up to. I believe you have a demo for us. You're going to run through OpenBlocks. So I'm just going to ask you to take it away and say the floor is yours, man. It's always great when you ask your guest to take it away and then they disappear.
Oh, wait, did he drop?
I don't think so. I mean, I'd imagine he's waiting to present, but that was a really cool video drop right there.
I was like, oh boy. Oh.
All right, we'll pad and wait for him to come back.
Yeah, just some quick technical difficulties. Stand by.
Shout out to Alvin Gonzalez TV watching from the Philippines. Hope you're still watching, brother. What else we got there, Chase? JP says, glad to have found Supra. Was looking this morning at what it takes to become a validator. Sweet. We will put you in touch. Just get onto our website and email us, man. And then you can chat to our biz dev about getting that happening.
Another question coming in. I'll let you answer this, James, but I'll ask it to you.
Okay, yeah, you ask, I answer.
I would love to know if you see any chance that the U.S. government would adopt Supra to manage all their government spending. From Robert Cross. James, the floor is yours.
Yes, Robert Cross. Well, I'm not in the U.S. I'm not a U.S. citizen, so I shouldn't get into trouble. Look, I mean, that would be a huge vision. But what I can tell you is that I know that our founders are very bullish on the U.S. and they're very good at networking and relationships. So watch this space. That's all I'm saying.
Love it.
Brayden, are you winning with sharing your screen, brother?
Yes. Okay. I am back. That was the worst timing. My internet just dropped out as I was showing my screen. So let's give this another shot here.
I thought it was a software issue.
No. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's get into it. So this is OpenBlocks. We started creating some tooling on the Supra network, and this is obviously going to grow quite quick. We have a lot of features as well locally that we're going to be launching very soon on the Supra network as well with OpenBlocks, but I'll show you some of the features that we currently have and I guess how users can benefit from this. So we currently have a dashboard here where you could see some stats about the recent on-chain transfers of Supra over time. And then below you could see some of the recent transfers that occurred on the network in real time. And so you can kind of start exploring, these different accounts moving Supra around. You could also view transaction IDs and go to the Supra scan as well if you wanted to explore these further. But some of the more interesting features, I think, come from our reconciliation tools. So I had mentioned earlier when you had talked about the Bybit hack, how we have some reconciliation tools that we had built for enterprise. So we're taking some of these and bringing them more on the retail side as well, so users could start exploring these. And so this tool right here is transaction query, and it basically allows users to input any Supra address here, and they can select a time range, and then they could see all the inflows and outflows for that wallet. So whether it's their own wallet they want to track, so if you wanted to see your past transactions, or if you wanted to input a whale's wallet, or if you wanted to copy trade somebody, you'd be able to input their wallet here and see all the inflows and outflows going in and out of their account. So you could see that this wallet had received 18,000 Supra at this time. And you can see that the two addresses actually Bybit here. So this wallet is labeled as Bybit as an exchange. And so you can kind of see the flow of funds moving between users, between exchanges. Anything happening on chain on the Supra network would basically be covered by this tool. And then if we click on this button here, you're able to actually view it on SupraScan. So if you wanted to verify the data yourself, you could obviously get more information here if you wanted to dive further in. There's a couple other ways you could use this. We could filter by the token. So if you wanted to see only large transactions, so if you were following a wallet that has tons of trades or they're a high frequency trader, you could filter by, let's say, 15,000 Supra. So you're able to start sorting the results. And now all the results here on the left-hand side are just transfers moving in or out of this wallet that are greater than 15,000. You're able to sort by inflows, by outflows, and just a bunch of different ways to start filtering. As more custom tokens come to Supra, there already are a few. You'd be able to sort by custom tokens as well. So if you're trying to track users who are interacting with particular tokens or particular dApps, you'd be able to do that as well. And then the last feature that I'll show very quickly is you can actually click this button here after you kind of have your search criteria down. You could open up the wallet recon tool. And this is actually a visualization of the inflows and outflows going in and out of that wallet. So the wallet we're exploring is Bybit, one of the Bybit addresses. And you could see all the deposits going in, which are presumably user deposits. And then on the right-hand side, we could see withdrawals. So this would be Bybit basically sending Supra out to these wallets. And if we click on one of these wallets here, we can put this address in the center so we can start exploring what this wallet is doing with their funds. So you can essentially follow the flow of funds, similar to what you would do with a hack, actually, where you could keep shifting down the line and seeing where Supra is being sent. So if you were trying to follow a whale or trying to follow your own transactions, you'd be able to do that very easily here. And we support all data on Supra going back to Genesis, so November 27th. So you could obviously filter by certain time ranges. If you wanted to search by a month, 2 months, a week, you could actually dial right into specific timestamps as well. And so here we're looking at this wallet. You could see that it received 2 transfers from Bybit. So this is presumably a withdrawal from Bybit. And you could see that they had sent 408,000 Supra to this address here. So this is just one of the tools that OpenBlocks is bringing to the Supra ecosystem. And again, we're planning to get much more deeper on the AI agent stuff. But for now, this is just ways to explore some of the on-chain activity on Supra. And as more dApps and DeFi grows on Supra, we would obviously be supporting that as well. And just allowing users, kind of a better UX to explore this stuff while still linking back to SupraScan and still allowing them to obviously view the data themselves however way that they want to. The last point I'll mention as well is the data on OpenBlocks will also be provided by APIs. So if there's certain ecosystem projects that are building on Supra, they could obviously access some of this data as well to enhance their dApps or enhance their protocols with our data feeds. So that's kind of a really quick demo. I didn't want to keep it too long, but again, we're working on some exciting stuff coming up.
Man, that is incredible. That's like the nicest UI UX I've ever seen for a data website of all time. Like it really is so clean, and like the small little I guess the UX features of when you put your cursor over like a wallet and it kind of moves to the side a little bit, like that, like just a little tilt. Things like that go such a long way for somebody like me. It's like I like the unboxing experience. So when like small little details like that happen, I'm on board. I think somebody in the comments also said, wow, that UI is super clean. Somebody said, Archime intelligence on Supra. Let's fucking go. This is incredible, man. I'm bullish on you. I'm bullish on y'all. And so my question next is, what's the ideal data to train AI agents on? Like, what are you guys training your agents on, I guess, is a better question. And what is the process of getting the richest data for your models?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to training AI agents, so the interesting thing with OpenBlocks is it's obviously going to be leveraging Blockpour's data set. And we have tens of billions of on-chain events. As I had mentioned earlier, Blockpour was primarily a data provider, not a provider of tools or applications. So our main focus before was just on data. So we have this rich data set currently that we're going to be training our models on. And when it comes to what data set we're capturing, it's really everything happening on-chain. So whether it's on-chain liquidity actions, whether it's on-chain swaps, yield, on-chain transfers, following traders. All this type of data we have, and we're going to start leveraging that into a lot of our multi-chain crafting and into our AI agents as well to help explore these ecosystems and navigate kind of the multi-chain landscape with that.
Yeah, that's critical, man.
Now, something that you mentioned in your demo there was you could, I mean, that just stood out like a sore thumb. You could enter a wallet if you want to copy their trading. Hello, ding, 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 get me a whale's wallet, copy what they do. I mean, obviously there's all the intricacies of that. Like if the whale's buying $1 million worth of Bitcoin and your wallet only has 1,000 USDC, a little bit difficult. I'm sure you'd be able to figure that out. But just talk to us about wallet tracking and copy trading. It's obviously something that AI agents are going to be able to provide for Web3 users. So how easy is it going to be for these AI agents to copy successful traders? And when do you think this kind of activity is going to be readily available for users in general, and in particular on OpenBlocks?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a nuanced concept. I think there's some complexities there. I'll give you an example of one. So let's say that there's a profitable wallet on chain, right? They do a lot of swapping, they interact with dApps. If you started following that wallet every transaction that they do, they might be interacting with certain yields, they might be locking in their tokens, they might be doing things that you as a user don't want to follow. You might only want to follow their swaps, right? But if they know that people are following them, they might set up a liquidity pool, they might buy into the liquidity pool, have everybody following them, buy into the liquidity pool, and then rug it, right? So there's a lot of nuances with doing copy trading, and the problems actually come up if they know that they're being copy traded, right? And I think everything's fine until they realize that. So I think really there's just risk factors there. I think there's ways to mitigate that risk, especially on the AI agent stuff as well, which is the interesting part. So for example, if it was a brand new pool, maybe the agent doesn't follow that trade, right? Maybe there's certain conditional logic that has to be met before the copy trade actually takes place to prevent some of these nuances. But there are definitely things that make it a bit more complicated than just follow this wallet and do everything it does, because I think that is a recipe for a disaster. So I think just keeping these things in mind, as a builder of tools, is to just know that these risks exist, and then also, find ways to help mitigate them for the user. And ultimately, it's up to the user, right? If they're fine taking those risks on, then sure, as long as they're aware of it. But I think just making sure they know the risks and then having them, have tools to help mitigate that, whether through the agent directly or through the user themselves.
Yeah, that's a really great point that I'm glad you kind of touched on, because I don't think a lot of people realize that. And speaking on that, all right, not financial advice here. If you could copy trade one person though, who would it be?
James Preston, of course.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the interesting trades I've seen recently was on Hyperliquid. So there was when the strategic reserve announcement happened, there was a big Hyperliquid whale that I think longed $300 million or $200 million of Ethereum like an hour before the announcement. Apparently, they weren't an insider, so that wallet, they have good spidey senses or whatever else they had that did that if they weren't inside trading. So maybe them, but then they got liquidated today. So it depends, I guess, right, on over what period of time and what type of markets they're into. I mean, a lot of these successful traders, some of them might be fine with large drawdowns. Some of them might be more long-term. You might be more short-term. So I think it's finding a trader that you're comfortable with following, not just somebody who's profitable by P&L, over a period of time, because you might not actually be comfortable waiting that long for some of their trades to actually, finalize, right, if they're a swing trader. So I don't think I have anybody in particular in mind, but there are a lot of really good on-chain traders for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I always see a meme here in the United States. It's like, if you're gonna follow anybody, it's like follow Nancy Pelosi, like her trading part. It's like, I mean, it's not a terrible idea. Like, you gotta follow it. But yeah, that's funny. But yes, be safe. I would be one of those people that would find some guy on crypto Twitter and he's like, look at my P&L over the past 6 months, I'm killing it. And I'd be like, all right, I'm just going to set it in here and just let it ride for the next 6 months. And then me and the boys are the exit liquidity, right? So
that's right.
It's a tale as old as time, brother. And I'm a part of that tale way too often myself.
Chase the exit liquidity. Go, baby.
It's me, man. Call me up if y'all need me.
Brayden, talking about that hyperliquid example, what about rugs? Do you think it's possible that AI agents could spot rugs before they happen?
Yeah, I can give you a bit of an example of that. So with Blockpour, we were actually doing this prior to AI agents. There's a lot of ways to identify rugs that are quite accurate. And one example of this was on Uniswap V2, right? So you have liquidity pools with two tokens, right? It might be a brand new token paired against maybe USDC. And one example of a rug that kept happening was there would be a pool with $25 million of USDC and then $25 million worth of a random new token, right? And so as a user, you go on Uniswap, you go on their dashboard, and you see a lot of liquidity, and you trust the token, you trust the liquidity. There's a lot of money in the pool, but if that liquidity is provided by one person, that's a high risk pool, even though it's a lot of money. Versus if there was a pool of $5 million of liquidity in it, provided by 10,000 people, that is way more stable, right, than $25 million of liquidity provided by one. But even Uniswap themselves wasn't providing this type of data before. I don't know if they do now. And so there's a lot of rug factors that are associated with AMMs or on-chain tokens like Pump Fund that I think AI agents could help a lot. Another example of how this could help is on Pump Fund. If a deployer launches a token, you could obviously check if that deployer has launched several other tokens, right? And if they have, it's likely they're a serial rugger, right? Yeah. But if there's a deployer that launches a token and it's their only deployment or their first deployment, you could use something like Blockpour to actually see what wallet funded that wallet, right? And you can go back the chain and see if that wallet has funded another wallet that has done another token. And you could basically associate two separate wallets as the same deployer, even though they're fresh wallets, right? They've all been funded by a similar source. And so there's kind of like a shared source of funds. And you can start making correlations on chain basically to determine risk factors for a lot of stuff. And that's where AI agents could really use Blockpour's data, is in correlation data like that, especially on the rug side and on making, I guess, DeFi a little bit safer for regular users who don't have time to spend 30 minutes diving into every single new token, because by then the token's already either 10,000x or zero, right, after 30 minutes. So you don't really have time to do this, and that's where things like OpenBlocks could really help in the future potentially.
That's great, because like you said, it's like it happens so fast that like people are like, oh, well, check if they have a Twitter and see who the founder is. It's like, brother, what? I'm already at liquidity at that point. I don't have enough time to think about if I'm going to look into their website and see if these are a real team or real people. It doesn't happen that quickly. I mean, it doesn't happen that slow. It's like you either act now or you don't, or you get left in the dust. And you're exactly right. And what that leads to is rugs every day. You know what I mean? So, but like I mention this all the time. Everybody chases the golden pony. They see the stories online that somebody got rich quick and they think it could be their time to do it. And everybody's looking for these coins to do so. And I can't stress this enough. 99.999% of the time, this is not going to happen to you. Just keep this in mind when you're investing in meme coins. Just don't invest in meme coins. All right, stay away from them.
Yep.
And so speaking of,
before you go to the next question, Chase. Sorry, Mace. I mean, okay, so you did just throw out do not invest in meme coins. Yeah. I agree. But at the same time, we have pushed pump.pro, which is obviously the first meme coin marketplace on Supra.
I guess that's true.
But I do want to mention that actually what was raised today, something got raised today, that someone copied the Dexlin token. Obviously, Dexlin Labs, the DEX where those tokens all go, has its own native token. Someone copied that token, called it Dexlin token, same logo and everything, and rugged a couple of users. So it's just really important. Those kind of things can happen on decentralized, permissionless marketplaces. It's really important to be aware of what you're up to. If you're like, oh, Dexlin token, I'm going to buy this, just make sure, is there another Dexlin token, and check which one's the real one. Be careful. I want to reiterate what Chase said there. Be careful. So thanks, dude.
Absolutely. It's the wild, wild west. We're I hate saying it, but it's like we are still very early in this game. It's like sometimes you got to just figure it out the hard way. I think everybody up here on stage has probably figured it out the hard way in one way or another. I've been in crypto since around 2017, and I've had my fair share of terrible events happen to me. But anyways, moving on. So what is being done with agents today, and what do you think will be happening a year now with agents? Obviously, we're still pretty new in this concept of AI agents, but things are already happening at an incredible rate of speed. The development of these AI agents is incredibly fast. What do you think is what's happening now? And then let's talk about a year from now. What do you think they could be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I can give a So I have some thoughts here, obviously on the AI agent side. There was an agent launched recently. It was trending called Manus. I don't know if that's the pronunciation, but it's basically an AI agent that you could have it do tasks for you, right? So you could ask it something like, "Find me the best property in New York. I have two kids in middle school." That was an example that they had given. And the agent will basically go to Google and it will search best middle schools in New York, and it will scroll the page and ingest the data in real time. And then it will go to Zillow. It will sort by, the budget, sort by the area of the schools, and it can do all this. But I think with agents right now, they're relying on all these external data feeds, right, to provide data to the end user to make decisions. I think the future of AI agents really is agent to agent communication and also agent to data sources that are trusted, right? I think that's the big shift that will come. Even with Madness right now, it is literally typing into Google to find sources of middle schools, right? But if there was a data source that was trusted that had real estate data, the agent could just query an API, and it knows that that API is trusted. It knows that that API is updated. It could query trusted sources or reach out to other agents that have knowledge in that area. And that's where things I think get really exciting, both on the traditional side, but also on the crypto side as well. There's a lot of technical analysis that is being done with agents. That's another big thing happening in crypto, is having agents help you with TA, right? If you look at meme coins or brand new tokens, a lot of these don't exist on CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap right when they launch. And so it's very hard to find data on these, especially trading data. But if you had sources like Blockpour, like OpenBlocks, or like some other data providers, you had API access, the agent could just reach out to these and get data in real time before some of these other sources, on Google would show this data. So I think the next exciting shift will be agent to agent communication at first, and then also agent to data feeds directly to basically have access to real time data feeds that it needs.
Agent to agent communication,
I
man.
love
That's
that.
like, it's literally like what when we were kids watching RoboCop and Terminator. Like, that's literally what we are entering into. It's wild, man. Damn. So I'm really interested in this, Brayden, and I'm not sure if you'd be able to speak into this. It's a bit of a tough question. It's more of an economist sort of question, but I'm just really curious. So in my mind, markets are all zero sum. We spoke about rugs. If someone's the exit liquidity, you create a token, someone is exiting with all the users that want to buy this new meme token, and this guy's exited, and those new buyers, those retail buyers, are all left with a worthless token, right? So, and that goes for all markets around the world. Markets are zero sum. There has to be a loser somewhere, right? Now, let's take five years down the road, maybe longer, 10 years down the road. If almost all trading is done by AI, how would that be possible? Is it going to be a case of fastest executors? Are AI agents going to completely change the face of markets? And I think what I'm getting at here is, if an AI is so good and so well refined and so well trained, there's still got to be losers. And if all the traders are AI, who's going to actually lose, right? And who are those losers? Is that the fastest executors or the slowest executors are the losers? And are we going to see an entirely change dynamic in economics?
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting question. I think you had mentioned at the beginning, obviously markets are zero sum even now. If you look at retail traders, I think there currently is asymmetry between retail traders and sophisticated traders, right? When it comes to resources that sophisticated traders have. So if you look right now, if you look at some of the prop trading firms in crypto, some of the hedge funds, they already use algos to trade, right? They already have proprietary trading engines built in house. And retail traders can't compete against them often. They rarely win even today. And so I think when it comes to AI agents, I think the asymmetry will always exist between retail and sophisticated traders. I think when it comes to the level of, I guess, knowledge that retail traders will have. I think the emotional aspect of trading is one of the worst things that retail traders have, in my opinion, is trading based on emotions, whereas sophisticated traders usually have algos that handle this for them. So I think AI agents will help retail traders make better decisions, potentially. But I think sophisticated traders will still always have an edge just because of the asymmetry of resources, right? So sophisticated traders, I think, will still have better agents. They'll have better data. They'll build their own agents, whereas retail traders will be left with more public-facing AI agents. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for retail. I think the interesting part on the retail side will be in the niche areas in crypto, right? So even currently, if you look at Pump Fund, if you look at some of these protocols, some of these dApps, sophisticated prop traders don't want to get into that space because there's not enough liquidity. There's not enough volume for them to move with size there. And so I think with AI agents, retail traders might be able to make better decisions, might be able to minimize their losses, and find opportunities faster with agents. Whereas sophisticated traders will be stuck with, high liquidity token pairs, right, like they currently do. I don't think AI agents will ever get to the point where retail traders and sophisticated traders will be able to compete against each other in a fair way ever. I think there'll always be the edge towards, prop traders just because of resources. But I think it's going to be a very interesting landscape with the different niches in crypto and how agents will play into that. But I still think it will be a zero sum, like you said. I don't think we'll get to the point where it won't be, because I don't think it can be. So I think that will always stay. It will just shift, I think, where retail traders go versus where sophisticated traders go.
Yeah, that's super interesting to think about, even now, right? To where you have DAOs of, you're calling them sophisticated traders. You have these people that have been in these small cabals for, let's say, 10 years now, and it's like everything that they know, we don't know until way later, right? It's like everybody that's inside on in the small circle gets to make everybody on the outside a little bit less money. And I've seen it. You've seen it in meme coins. You've seen it in NFTs. These cabals happen all over Web3. So it is really interesting to see, and your perspective of saying, like, yeah, the maybe the retail user does get better with trading, but he'll never be able to outsmart the cat that's been around for 12 years, because they have the resources, they have the connections, they have the people, which is probably the biggest green flag in Web3. And something that you can't just earn, right? It's like you or buy. You have to earn these relationships. You have to earn this entry into the cabal, I like to call them. So yeah, that's super interesting. So moving on. All right, so let's dig into the partnership with Supra a little bit. So OpenBlocks leverages Supra's novel Intralayer architecture to navigate the cross-chain landscape. What are we envisioning here when we talk about navigating the cross-chain landscape?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot to talk about here. I'll try to summarize some of the things without getting too deep into it. But I think, like I'd mentioned before, the goal of Blockpour, even prior to this, was always to abstract away the complexities of navigating cross-chain ecosystems at a high level. And what that basically means is, as a user, if you're sitting on stablecoins, for example, and you wanted to get the best yield on your stablecoins, a lot of users who have stables might not even realize they can get yield while they hold their stables, right? Through things like Aave, other lending platforms. And so I think just having the opportunity for users to go to OpenBlocks, to go to one of these platforms and just start asking it questions, right? How could I earn off of my stables? Where can I find the best yield? I want to buy this token, but I don't know where it trades. If you're a user who's only on Ethereum and you hear about a token on X, that token might be on Binance chain, right? It might be on Supra. But if you're not familiar with Supra, or you're not familiar with Binance chain, now you as a user have to learn how to bridge. You have to learn how to go to these different dApps. And so I think it's just abstracting away all of that for the user and allowing them to just make these actions through Intralayer, which is the interesting part, as a cross-chain messaging service, to actually execute the end goal of the user without them having to go through all these different individual steps themselves. And I think with Intralayer, it's also interesting because one of the biggest risk factors right now with agents is, they could mess up, right? If you trust an agent to execute on your behalf, they might send your tokens to a burn address. They might send your tokens to the wrong bridge, right? Like anything can happen right now. And so I think with Intralayer, it gets interesting because you have these vaults that developers can build, and with the agents, they can know how to interact with these vaults, and the logic in them can be conditional. You can start using Supra's automation, and you could also use Supra's oracles as well as a trusted price feed. So if you want to start executing logic, you start losing risks of large price fluctuations or movements because now you have native oracles, right? So you have a lot of things that actually make the cross-chain communication safer. Whereas previously with Blockpour, we didn't get into the actual execution of trading. because of that. We were missing the Intralayer part of it. And that's why we're so excited to obviously be working with Supra and the team, because I think it opens up opportunity for Blockpour's data to actually finally have a place to execute and to do all these things that we've always wanted to do. I think the visions align quite well as well.
That's incredible.
Yeah, no two ways about that. I mean, the
Fully
vision is clear, and it's
yeah. I was gonna say full integration, baby. This is the benefit right here. You're hearing Brayden say it right now. It's like things that they have always wanted to do were never possible until they came to Supra. It's like, how are you not bullish? That's why I'm here. That's why we're here, baby. That's why we're here.
boom, baby. Now, something that you actually touched on there is making things easy for the user, and this might be a slight repeat of what you've explained, but I want to dig into that a little bit. You actually said in a recent interview that OpenBlocks' vision is to radically simplify blockchain transactions, and you turn a complex process into an experience that's accessible to everyone. How does OpenBlocks make those transactions accessible?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So similarly to what I had mentioned with yield, again, if you wanted to purchase a token, there's a lot of nuances even right now. Like if you wanted to buy the Aave token, for example, Aave trades across several different networks, right? Aave is a multi-chain token. It exists on Polygon, Ethereum, several other networks. One of the issues with multi-chain tokens is there's usually price disparity between them across different networks because liquidity is different everywhere Aave trades, right? All these different dexes have different liquidity. And so as a user, if you want to buy Aave, you don't even know where to go. You have so many options to buy it. But with something like OpenBlocks, we have all the price data for Aave on chain. We know the best price that you can buy Aave for, and it actually might change based on your size. If you want to buy, $50,000 worth of Aave, you might be better off going somewhere else versus if you wanted to buy $1,000 of Aave, because the price impact in your slippage, right, would change the price. But as a user, you don't care about any of that. Like you don't know to think about, if I'm trading with bigger size, should I go somewhere else? But with OpenBlocks, we would know all of this for you because we know the liquidity that exists in the pool, and we can predict the slippage that you'll pay based on your trade size, just as one example. But this would work for anything, right? Whether you're trying to do cross-chain swaps, whether you're trying to do bridging, whether you're trying to move funds to Supra from a different network. Again, yield is a great example as well, is finding the best yield for your tokens. And so I think it just enables a new way to interact with these ecosystems. And I think it's a net positive for crypto as a space. Obviously, for the user, you could see the benefits there, but it's also good to have these users interact with these dApps. It increases TVL, and I think it brings a little bit more legitimacy to the space, if that makes sense. I think just more activity happening on chain. And then once users start realizing what these agents are doing, they might be incentivized themselves to explore further, right? Once they realize, oh, I didn't know I can get yield on chain, but I got it through, using OpenBlocks, they found me this route. I want to start looking into these different DeFi protocols. And so I think it's good for the whole space to have users more comfortable with interacting with DeFi as a whole. And then obviously just abstracting away the complexities for them if they want it to, right? They could always do it themselves if they want to. But I think a lot of users just have a simple request and they just want to do it, right? They don't want to spend hours researching how to, where to. So that's where I think OpenBlocks is going to sit, is just as an abstraction layer on top of multi-chain messaging.
Yeah, I love that. Answering questions for people that don't want to spend the time to figure it out themselves. Me. That's like, I'm your target audience, brother. I'm the guy. I'm that guy. And let's stay talking about
liquidity.
Yeah, exit liquidity, guy that doesn't do research. I'm your guy. So
there's a correlation there. There's a correlation between no research and exit liquidity.
I also just want to say that Chase has said that all himself. We have not pointed that out. He's just,
if you've watched any
super
of
humble
this
here.
Yeah, if you've watched any of the subs, I've been talking about this forever. I'm that guy. I've never been on the good side of things. It's if I can say my biggest win in the Web3 space is off an NFT sale. That should probably tell you everything you need to know about me, baby. Okay, so let's let's keep talking about cross-chain innovation. The integration of OpenBlocks into the Supra ecosystem basically signals a new era of AI cross-chain innovation. I mean, you talked about it for the last hour here. What does the new era look like to you, though?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I had mentioned previously, I think the new era is really just opening up DeFi to a much larger audience. I think it will incentivize more builders as well. Like once there's more TVL, once there's more activity, I think more builders will be incentivized to innovate in the space, right? I mean, as protocols are obviously earning money, as protocols are doing well, there's incentive for new builders to come and disrupt the space. And so I think it's kind of like a flywheel effect, right? Where as more users are interacting with apps, there's more people who are incentivized to innovate and try to outcompete these dApps, which is a good thing, I think, for the entire space, to get more efficient dApps, get more efficient yield, and get more efficient, basically, DeFi applications out there. And so I think the new era with AI agents really is just going to be bringing more people into DeFi that currently aren't in it. I guess to summarize at a very high level. And obviously, there's a lot of other things in there, but I think that would be the biggest part. Is just more activity on DeFi. Yeah,
I love that. Like, there is so little understanding of DeFi in Web3 in general, let alone the global tech audience, right? And the, what is it, like 2-3 billion people actually on the internet? Of those, how many are actually in Web3? And of those, how many are actually in DeFi? So to make that easy, accessible to the Web3 audience and then to the general audience, like, people like my dad, for instance, just getting into crypto now, like, oh wow, I've got an exchange app on my phone, I can buy Bitcoin right now with Bybit, this is amazing. Like, that's just getting to the start of what crypto offers, right? And to make that easy for people like him, that's crazy. So I agree and hear that vision, man. So guys, we are out of time here. So just before we wrap up, Brayden, any final comments, man? Like, there is a little bit of alpha which you've dropped here. I can give a little bit of insight into the fact that we're going to be going to the press with this acquisition. This is actually officially the first time I think it's been announced publicly that Supra has acquired OpenBlocks or Blockpour, and we're going to be announcing that in the news within the next week or so. But besides that, anything else that you'd like to add to the Supra audience, man?
Yeah, no, thanks guys for having me here, and I appreciate all the listeners tuning in as well. And yeah, I would say follow the Blockpour Twitter page. We're going to be switching that to OpenBlocks, so it will be the same Twitter account that we currently have. And we'll be posting updates and a bunch of new features that we're working on. We're going to get much more active on that Twitter page, obviously, as well as we transition over to OpenBlocks. And yeah, I'm super excited to keep building on Supra. I think there's a lot of really exciting stuff in the roadmap that I didn't touch on today.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, Singapore internet. Singapore internet failed, brother.
He did it for us. Well, Brayden, if you can still hear us, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that he pops in. Maybe not.
That was good timing. At least that didn't happen like in the middle of the show.
Yeah, exactly. Well, first off, thank you, Brayden, for taking time out of your day to come up here and talk with us. Thank you, James, for having me as your co-host. Thank you, all of our listeners, for coming in and showing love in the comments and being here listening. It looks like we've had about almost 1,900 listeners today. So thank you for taking time out of your busy Wednesday to come sit with us and talk with Brayden. He's back, baby. We're back, baby.
What's up, man? What's up,
my internet cuts out at the worst times. I don't know why. It's incredibly unfortunate.
I wouldn't say it's the worst time. We were saying
it's like pretty close.
It could have been in the middle of the stream, but I did not realize that Singaporean internet was that bad, man.
I didn't either until the stream, so it's been fine up till this. So this is news to me as well. Yeah.
Oh, that is so funny. Well, dude, hey, Brayden, thank you so much for taking the time out of the day for coming in here and talking with us. You and I and James will obviously be working very closely together moving forward. I'm really excited. This is the first time I've been able to put a face and a voice to the name. Obviously, it kind of makes it a little bit differently. You feel like we're boys now. Right, I said up here with you, we're boys now. But I'm excited to work with you moving forward. We have a lot of work to do together, and I'm excited to see what y'all continue to do. And I'm excited to continue being bullish on you and your team and everything that you're building, man. So thanks again for coming here, James. Thank you. Any last words from either of y'all?
No, again, just thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
absolutely great to have you on, Brayden, and that was fantastic. Really appreciated your demo as well. That was smooth. We had a couple of comments saying that UI was amazing.
Incredible.
Appreciate all the comments. Just a quick one. Deep Seeker says, "What's the link for Open Locks?" Well, first of all, it's OpenBlocks, sir. But big love to you. Right now, it's Blockpour. So just go to Blockpour on X. Just search for Blockpour. And you'll find them. And then you can actually check the website OpenBlocks.AI right now. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me, Chase. We'll catch you guys next week. Going to be talking about Pixudi. And yeah, man, over to you to wrap it up, sir.
Awesome. Yeah. So the last thing I do want to point out, so Josh Topkin, our CEO and co-founder of Supra, was on the Bell Curve podcast by Blockworks, which is a big deal. We love Bell Curve. We love Blockworks. We've done a lot of work with them in the past. So be sure to look out for that coming soon. I actually will make an announcement in the Discord after this. It's already live and posted. So I'm sure there's a bunch of alpha that you're going to want to watch there. I know going from a live stream to a podcast, maybe you watch it on your lunch break. Maybe you watch it tonight with dinner. Whatever you got to do, go check out that podcast of Blockworks and Bell Curve, I should have said. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I've watched it, and you should too.
Awesome.
Now, have you watched it, James?
Peace. I have not yet. All
right, yeah. All right, Brayden, James, watch it. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming to the Sup, episode 9.
Peace.
Holla at your boy. The Sup.
Thanks.